Claudia Gray has been writing in the Star Wars universe since 2015, with stories that focus on everything from Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi's partnership as master and apprentice, to Princess Leia's past and future political career. Into the Dark, the young adult entry into the High Republic series, marks her third young adult and fifth overall Star Wars book. Into the Dark made it to #1 on the New York Times Young Adult Hardcover bestseller list for the week of February 21st, 2021, and as of this review has been on the list for 3 weeks. So a basic summary would be that Reath Silas is being sent from the cosmopolitan capital of Coruscant to the undeveloped frontier, and he is not exactly thrilled about it. But when a galaxy-wide disaster throws his ship out of hyperspace, he and the rest of the crew have to seek refuge on what seems to be an abandoned space station. But then strange things start to happen. So, the good. First of all, Reath's character. Reath just wants to stay in the archives all day long. He is absolutely not looking for adventure. But like Sokka in Avatar: The Last Airbender or Bilbo Baggins in The Hobbit, adventure finds Reath and he rises to the challenge. He's thoughtful and methodical, and he doesn't give up on anyone or anything. I just wish that Gray would have maybe focused even more closely on Reath, because while the book starts out solely from his viewpoint, as the story progresses, she expands it out to other different POVs. I also really enjoyed getting to meet the crew members of the vessel. We have Leox Jayazi, who's basically 90s Matthew McConaughey in space. Affie Hollow, his intrepid young co-pilot, who learns some uncomfortable truths about her foster mother and the business that she's going to inherit. And then we have Geode, who's just the absolute best rock. Sometimes Star Wars novels don't do so well with comic relief characters, but I thought that Leox and Geode especially really shone in this book. And then, once again, we had some fun continuity nods. First, the Shrine in the Depths is confirmed. If you've read any of the Legends books, specifically Traitor in the New Jedi Order series, you'll know that the Jedi Temple was built on a dark side nexus. The Clone Wars TV show was going to have a story arc that developed that idea, basically that the Jedi Temple on Coruscant was built on an existing Sith temple, and it's finally been made canon again and appears in this book. We also got some nods to the Amaxine warriors, who were first mentioned in Bloodline, the Barash Vow, which first appeared in Charles Soule's Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith comic. And then we learned more about indentured servitude, which was pretty much Queel's backstory in the Mandalorian TV show. But while there were parts that I really enjoyed, there were also parts that left me feeling meh. First, I have to mention that the summary really only covers the first half of the book, and what happens after that is they head back to Coruscant, they realize they have unfinished business on the Amaxine station, they come back and encounter the real bad guys, they fight the Nihil, and they ensure that the station's neutralized. I would argue that 3 through 5 are essential for wrapping up the story of the station, but 1 and 2 just felt a bit too much like dithering to me. I would have rather that they stayed on the station and didn't return to Coruscant at all. And while I think I can see what Gray was trying to do with 2 of the Jedi, Orla Jareni and Comac Vetus, their stories just felt a little too repetitive to me. They both are dealing with the aftermath of a mission from 25 years ago that went horribly, horribly wrong. They both are starting to question the Jedi Order and whether they're always correct. But pretty much all of their backstory is delivered through these 5 flashback chapters that are scattered throughout the book. They're very short. They're distracting to the main plot line. So I also wish that maybe their backstory could have been delivered in a different way. It didn't completely come together for me. And then our bad guys. I felt like the presence of the Nihil in this book was unnecessary. I know they're the overarching villains for the High Republic series, but we actually have other bad guys in this book. And when I first saw the concept art for the Drengir, I thought to myself, oh, it's like Swamp Thing, but evil. But unfortunately, the actual execution of them was not particularly frightening. I thought that maybe this was one of the issues where visual media actually has the upper hand because it's hard to see something scary when you're just reading the words. But then again, I've read plenty of books that unsettled and frightened me, and the fact that I didn't have an actual picture didn't make them less scary. So, my verdict. The first phase of the High Republic series has had to do an awful lot of heavy lifting. These books need to introduce heroes, villains, worlds, sentient species, technology, and concepts that are entirely new to the reader. And unfortunately, what that means is that some of the books, Light of the Jedi and unfortunately Into the Dark too, end up feeling either jumbled or bloated. But I liked Reith, I liked Affy, and the rest of the crew members of the vessel, and I have to say that a lesser Claudia Gray novel is still worth seeking out. And at this point, I am still pretty excited for what Phase 2 has in store.